It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a Monday Early Line. It is the place to be. Armchair Quarterback Monday as we get it started right here on the SportsGrid Network. We got 7 to 9 a.m. to get you caught up on everything that happened over the weekend. Saturday's college football action. Sunday's amazing games in the NFL. And if you're an Eagles fan, look away because it was devastatingly bad. I said last week, man. And you know what? I'm back in the Dallas Cowboys. I like the 3.5 points. Watch that game like, what an idiot I am. At the end of the game, Dallas Cowboys actually won that game. That and much more as we set you up for a brand new Monday Night Football NFL game tonight, which all of a sudden sees the Carolina Panthers with a legitimate chance to win their own division. My goodness, all that and much more. Donnie Rightside, Joe Ranieri. It's time to get it started.
Gotta love it on Turkey Week here, Donnie. We don't have to wait that much longer for more of the craziness this week because we're going to get an awful lot of it starting on Thursday this week. So this is a beautiful time of year.
It is Thanksgiving week here, Black Friday edition. It never stops right here at the SportsGrid Network. But on a Monday, sometimes you need that extra caffeinated information to get you going. What do you got, Joe?
All right, Donnie. Well, we told you last week that we've been rooting for chaos in the college football playoffs. And it looks like, yes, the football gods have almost gotten us there. Now, we have been rooting for this new system to break. And for any one of those who are in the most deserving team should get in camp, well, hopefully this is a bit of reality smacking you alongside the head. Because after looking at the latest landscape, I am thrilled to announce here, Donnie, that we are staring down the barrel of the ultimate college football playoff doomsday scenario. The ACC, a so-called power conference, is cannibalizing itself into oblivion. Now, Miami, their best hope, barely got by Vodtech. SMU blows out Louisville, and the greatest part of it all this weekend was watching Pitt go to Georgia Tech and eliminate them and throw this entire thing into chaos. And here is the beautiful disaster that we are facing. The ACC championship game may very well feature 2 teams that are barely ranked, if at all. We're talking about a potential title game between a 3-loss Pitt team and a 3-loss SMU team. Maybe Virginia gets in. but they are barely ranked as it is. And here's the kicker. The cherry on top of this outstanding chaotic Sunday. The playoff rules guarantee spots to the 5 highest ranked conference champions. They don't say Power 4 champions. They say highest ranked, which means tomorrow night's ranking show, Donnie, is now must-watch television. Look at the board. You have got a 9-2 Tulane team sitting there in the American. You have a 10-1 James Madison team there in the Sun Belt. Both of these group of 5 teams are now climbing the rankings. So if the ACC champion is an unranked 3-loss Pitt team or SMU team, well, guess what? The ACC will be left out of the playoff entirely. And can you imagine a Power 4 conference champion watching the playoff from the couch while James Madison or Tulane gets an automatic bid only to get their doors blown off by any SEC or Big Ten team that makes it into the playoffs? You got to love college football chaos. And you know what? It should happen. I'm done hearing about the whole most deserving. Stop telling me about automatic qualifiers. Donnie, for the love of all thing college football, just give us the best teams. The University of Miami is going to have 2 losses, and they're going to have 5 guys playing on Sundays in a year from now. And yet we're going to get stuck watching, well, guys that won't be playing on Sunday. We wanted chaos. We wanted to expose the flaws in this system. Well, folks, buckle up. Tomorrow night's ranking show is going to tell us all we need to know, because the ACC doomsday scenario, Donnie, it is real. And my friend, it is spectacular.
It is. It's fun to watch it play out. And again, you're going to have games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They're going to really play the tail out on who's going to make the college football playoff. But the whole fact of the matter is, it's one of the few sports that's like, let's just give it to one of the group of 5 teams when we know they don't deserve it, because the only reason why we could push this through is because the group of 5 needed to vote on it. Just run it through a computer. Give me the top 12 teams in the country. We will enjoy that here. It's almost like a high school football team playing a varsity schedule saying, hey, we went 6-4 on the year. And the other team goes, well, we made the playoffs. Well, how'd you get there? Well, we played 6th graders all year. But okay, but then you still get to push through. It doesn't, exactly what Joe's saying. Maybe Miami doesn't win a championship, but what's going to get better ratings? JMU in the playoff versus Notre Dame, or Miami taking on Notre Dame in the college football playoff? Just use your heads, people. It's not that hard. Let's get it over to the hottest topics here. The early lineup, which includes Baker Mayfield. What happened last night to Tampa Bay? All I saw was a launch bomb interception at the end of the half, and Mayfield rolling on the turf in agonizing pain. Doesn't come out for the second half and has a sling. My goodness, Tampa Bay. This is a worst case scenario.
Yeah, he threw the ball so hard, Donnie, he blew out his own shoulder. That's how far he was trying to throw that ball there. But listen, I think what happened last night is kind of what Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans kind of knew was eventually going to happen at some point with all the injuries to that offensive line, and it finally happened last night. I mean, how many more hits, how many more craziness did Baker Mayfield think he was going to handle before he's just going to break down? And that's exactly what happened to him last night.
Breaking down also, T. Higgins took a heck of a shot here trying to come down with a pass late in that game, smashed his head on the turf, suffers a concussion in the loss to the Patriots. Season over for the Bengals at 3-8. When does Joe Burrow come back, and when do we see T. Higgins again? Tough scene.
Better be 2026. Better be the answer to that question, Donnie. But I give it, listen, it was a kitchen sink game for Cincinnati yesterday. They left it all out there. They knew everything was riding on that, and they almost got it done. I mean, give credit. Joe Flacco couldn't even lift his arm, and he's out there, and they almost did the unthinkable with the comeback. But unfortunately, now they're going to get Jamar Chase back, and now they've lost Higgins for the season.
Brandon Ayuk, this has always been an interesting story. Got that big money contract here, blows his knee out, and sort of being away from the team, not answering their phone calls, showing up for events. He's going to have his money voided for next year. They were hoping he actually came back this year and was making an effort on the field. We don't even know if he's ever going to play for the 49ers ever again now, Joe.
I'm not, well, we always knew this was tumultuous at best there, Donnie, but I don't get it. It's not like the 49ers aren't competing for a playoff spot with an opportunity and a schedule that's I don't know what he's doing unless he just thinks taking a year off from football is in his best interest. We've seen how that works with other guys.
It's crazy. Like, he's going to get his money voided. I don't know. It's just an odd scenario all the way around, which probably going to be a free agent next year, and we'll see where he goes. Chris Paul, this is an interesting one for me. Will retire at the end of the 26th season. I had no idea he was playing this year in the NBA. I don't even know, Joe, what team he's on. What team is he on? And also, how about this news for you?
Well, he's on the Clippers, which, brought that average
like
age of the Clippers up to 48 and a half years of age, Donnie, I think. So, kudos to him. I mean, a long career. Guy's been head of the Players Association forever. But, now's the time here. I'm shocked. Maybe he just wanted to retire a Clipper, I believe, which is where he started his career.
Marcus Semien to the New York Mets. Nimmo goes back to the Rangers at this point here. The hot stove heating up before Thanksgiving.
Great. Two guys that can never stay healthy for an entire season. Sounds like a winning trade there, Donnie. I don't know what that's all about.
How about this trade? UAB, team fights here. Yeah, you get those scraps. Hey, man, square up, break these guys up. How about a stabbing, multiple stabbings for UAB before their game? Things aren't going there. You fire your head coach and bedlam breaks out.
And South Florida runs all over. That was that story, Donnie. We broke it on air when it was released during the game. Not one, not two, but you lost 3 players 2 hours before kickoff. Crazy.
Max Verstappen wins the F1 out in Vegas. I'll tell you right now, the standing ovation is not actually for Max Verstappen. It's that actually leaving Vegas so they can get back to normal here. People actually want to go see the city again.
I'm shocked that Max Verstappen won an F1 race. I mean, I'm just blown away. What were his odds? Minus 500? Yeah. You got to be kidding me.
How about that? Wrapping it all up on a big-time Monday here, but we got to get you ready for what's going to happen in the future. Spreadlines coming up next right here on the Early Line. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Another sport like the NBA, which is dealing with its own, scandals, so to speak, and its own headlines with the FBI and what else comes, because this is the same FBI team that also brought the NBA scandals to light. So I'd have to imagine they're working on some other stuff as well right now, and the timing is definitely not a coincidence, but definitely some very significant news in the gambling world that now you're not going to be able to bet more than $200 on a specific pitch market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in one-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. Like every win last year, one-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Oh, it's a Monday. Yes, it's an armchair quarterback day, but we sometimes got to get you ready for what's going to happen in the future. Then we'll peel back and let you know what happened over the weekend here, Saturday and Sunday. Let's get to going with some spread lines here, Joe Ranieri. And the first spread line is Thanksgiving Day, Navy and Memphis. 311, 312 on the rotation. How about this game, Joe? 4.5 is an opening number, starting to climb a little bit to 5.5 for Memphis as a favorite, and a total of 58.5. What's the spread line for Navy and Memphis?
Well, Donnie, we know NFL, right? People will be following along on that, but let's not forget there is college football on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I mean, this is the week, Donnie, where you need to pay close attention to which teams are still playing for something and which teams are playing for absolutely nothing. And this is a game with a perfect scenario, right? You've got a Navy team who can still make it into the American Conference Championship, albeit they're going to need Charlotte to pull the upset over Tulane, but they still got to win the game before Charlotte and Tulane play. And then you've got Memphis, who has, well, absolutely nothing to play for this week, as they've already lost 2 in a row. Their starting quarterback may be done for the rest of the year as well. We saw this line -7, 7.5 on a look ahead, Donnie, and already it's down to -5. 5.5, and I think it's only going to continue to go that way, as you've got one team with something to fight for and you got another team that's just playing out the string.
By the way, we got a great Black Friday of football, both in the professional ranks here. The really head start there, Chicago Bears going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. That should be fun, but also a lot of games in college football. One of those games, little Maction action, 3:15, 3:16 on the rotation, a 12 noon kickoff on Friday. That's Ohio and Buffalo. Line opened up as a look ahead around -5.5. We're now seeing 6s and 6.5s in the marketplace, and a total of 46.5. Ohio at Buffalo, Joe. What's the spread line here?
This is a huge game for the MAC, Donnie. I mean, quietly, all of these games we've been playing during the week, we got a log jam going on here right now. When Ohio at Buffalo is huge. Now, I'm going to assume Western Michigan handles lowly Eastern Michigan tomorrow night, right? But Ohio is tied with 3 other teams at 5-2 in conference play, and they have head-to-head wins over teams like Miami of Ohio. They didn't play Toledo or Central Michigan. So there's all sorts of tiebreakers involved here with the MAC championship game. But one thing is serious, and one thing we know for a fact is Ohio has to win. Buffalo would love nothing more than to spoil that situation here. We saw look-ahead lines here at about 4.5. Now we're starting to see the money pour in on Ohio early, just under a touchdown, and it wouldn't shock me if it continues to go that way, Donnie.
Carolina Panthers, San Francisco 49ers tonight, Monday Night Football. You see the line there around 7 to 7.5, depending on where you're shopping, and the total 49.5. But how about this? San Francisco looking for a playoff spot. The Carolina Panthers looking to win their division. Where were we just a few short weeks ago when Tampa Bay was going to run away with this thing? Now Carolina with a win? That would put them in if the season ended today. Incredible stuff. What's your spread line tonight?
Yeah, well, interesting, Donnie, because the thing that stuck out to me here all week long was, listen, the 49ers opened up 6.5-point favorite. It's at 7, which is about right here for this 49ers team in prime time at home. But that total opened up 45.5, Donnie, and we're at 49.5 and even a 50 in town. So we're talking a 4.5, 5.5-point line move on the total from the open a week ago. It's clear the market thinks we're getting points here tonight, and who can blame them? It's not like either of these two defenses can be trusted to stop anybody, but it feels like the 49ers and maybe some team totals definitely in play here tonight.
Let's get the Thanksgiving action mid-afternoon. If you watched the NFL yesterday, the NFL was going to have a, prevention line to prevent them from shutting the season down. You saw the Indianapolis Colts hammering the Kansas City Chiefs, the Philadelphia Eagles hammering the Dallas Cowboys, which would mean a game that was basically meaningless on Thanksgiving. A couple phone calls were made, flags started to fly, and teams started to come back. Now, Joe, Kansas City and Dallas, unbelievable theater, 2 teams clinging on to life for their NFL season. Kansas City is a 3.5-point favorite, and a total of 51.5, up from 47.5. We have life in a game that was absolutely dead on arrival midway through those games yesterday.
Well, Donnie, what I was going to be very interested in seeing here was we already knew Kansas City had won in overtime early, right? Mm-hmm. We knew, well, what was the Dallas final going to be? It didn't look good early, and I was keeping an eye. The look-ahead line in this one was, in fact, with Kansas City, right around 3.5, maybe a 4-point favorite after they won. And I said, all right, let's see what happens. If Dallas loses this game, I'm fairly certain the money is going to continue to roll in on Kansas City. But when Dallas comes back and wins that game, well, we're waking up this morning. Now we're seeing just a field goal. The total hovering still around 51 and a half. But Dallas now seems to pulling off that win, that come from behind win against the Eagles. It looks like the market's starting to turn a little bit here and feels that maybe giving the home team a field goal or more, maybe not the best strategy. I'm going to be interested to see what happens here over the next 24 to 48 hours with this line, Donnie. Does it continue to move to Dallas? Or does the Kansas City Chiefs, does that public money come back in and start raising it once again?
Interesting to see how it plays out, but also we talked about Andy Reid last week saying you got to get back to the ground game here. Kareem Hunt got 30 touches yesterday. Running the football helps your offense. We'll see if Kansas City continues that on Thanksgiving Day. Let's take a look at the association tonight, Joe. The Houston Rockets and the Phoenix Suns, 9:30 p.m. tip time. Line of around 5.5 at the opening number. Some outlets as high as 6.5 now, and a total of 226.5. The Rockets at the Suns. What's your spread line here?
Well, this was an interesting one, too, because we know the Rockets continuing to roll, although they lost at home a couple of nights ago there to the Denver Nuggets. But the Suns played last night and won again, and they are just absolutely on fire, especially at home. But now they find themselves welcoming in the Houston Rockets. Kevin Durant comes back to town here, right, Donnie? Red hot Rockets, red hot Suns. One of them is going to be exposed for a possible fraud. Can't wait to see this game here tonight. I think the Rockets get it done with Kevin Durant and company.
We'll certainly be watching, no doubt about it. In the association, a hot night heats up. But we got to get back to what happened yesterday on a Sunday in the NFL. We saw the Kansas City Chiefs have a comeback victory in overtime and what that means for the rest of the season for the Chiefs. We'll be right back at the early line on the SportsGrid Network.
Another sport like the NBA, which is dealing with its own, scandals, so to speak, and its own headlines with the FBI and what else comes, because this is the same FBI team that also brought the NBA scandals to light. So I'd have to imagine they're working on some other stuff as well right now, and the timing is definitely not a coincidence, but definitely some very significant news in the gambling world that now you're not going to be able to bet more than $200 on a specific pitch market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in one-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. Like every win last year, one-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In the 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Right back here on the early line. It's Donnie Rightside, and it's Joe Ranieri going through what happened yesterday in NFL action. One of the biggest games of the day was actually a 1 o'clock start here. That was between the Indianapolis Colts and the Kansas City Chiefs. This line closed yesterday as a favorite for the Kansas City Chiefs at -4.5, despite having close to 6 out of every 10 tickets coming in on the Indianapolis Colts. And it looked like, Joe, midway through that game, this was a Colts victory, and everything was slipping away for the Kansas City Chiefs. But Patrick Mahomes and the offense made the plays that they needed to. By the way, Mahomes threw 46 times yesterday for 352 yards, and the running game, 41 carries for 148 yards and a touchdown. Showed the mettle yesterday of a champion, able to pick up that victory in overtime yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, that was all Indianapolis there. I mean, Kansas City was down 20-9 in the fourth quarter here, but the Colts learned, a valuable lesson, a lesson that many other teams over the years, Donnie, have figured out, is that if you have a chance to put away the Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes and Andy Reid, you better do it, because the longer you let them hang around, that's exactly what they're going to do. And that's exactly what they did in that game there, is they did just enough, and give credit to the Chiefs defense for limiting the damage beyond that. But they learned a big lesson there, the Colts. You got to finish the Chiefs when you have the chance, and they didn't do that, and they paid the price.
No, they certainly did pay the price, too. And you take a look at that usually vaunted running game that you have for the Colts. 16 carries for 58 yards for Jonathan Taylor. Daniel Jones, 3 carries for 16 yards. He only had 181 passing yards yesterday, which is going to be an issue, but he did throw 2 touchdowns, passer rating around a 99 and a QBR of 60. He wasn't bad. I was just shocked where they just couldn't pick up first downs late in that football game to sort of stem the tide. And also, late in that game, you want to score the touchdown late, couldn't do it. Kansas City tried to score the touchdown late, couldn't do it there. The field goal ends up going to overtime. You get a defensive stop. You drive down the field and kick a field goal. Liked what I saw, but also, Joe, the week before, you played the Denver Broncos. You refused to run the football to keep the pressure off of Patrick Mahomes, and now you give the football 30 times to Kareem Hunt for 100-plus yards and a touchdown. That's what you need to do. Keep that balanced attack for Kansas City, and it helps. They now improved to 6-5 on the season. The Colts back to 8-3, but that was a season-saving win for the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday.
And thank the defense, Donnie, because they held the Colts to 10 first downs and 255 yards. And those were Indy's lowest totals in both categories all season long. And if you can do that to Indy, they are very beatable. And the Chiefs defense, who's, let's face it, they deserve a little criticism here. You lost 5 one-score games, not because Patrick Mahomes couldn't save you, but because you couldn't stop anybody. They stopped the Colts yesterday.
By the way, you take a look at now the AFC playoff picture. If the season ended today, the Indianapolis Colts certainly first place in the division at 8-3. But now Kansas City starting to climb that ladder to try to get back into the picture. And a lot of good football teams that are going to have to jump. And also a lot of football teams that have the tiebreaker over the Kansas City Chiefs. A win on Thanksgiving Day would go a long way for those Kansas City Chiefs. But also, talk about Thanksgiving Day. It's going to be in Dallas. Dallas now's the season they're playing for here, and it's always tough to win on that short work week on the road. Should be a fun one to see that one play out right now. But yesterday, did you have any thoughts on the referee or the officiating yesterday between that game, Joe?
Well, I mean, listen, you're always going to have the naysayers, are you not here, Donnie? I mean, you're always, they ain't going away anytime soon, and neither is that narrative. And there were a few games in which there were some head-scratching flag, shall we say, yesterday, once again. And it's only going to get worse from here, Donnie, that's for sure.
Like, I look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they're 6-5, right? And you take a look at the AFC odds market. People can't quit the Chiefs. They're still a plus 550 price to win that. But if we're being honest with ourselves, Kansas City used to beat you, and it was painless, right? Like, they used to just toy with football teams, run it up, 35-plus points, dominate. Spagnuolo's defense sacking you left and right because you can't stay balanced on offense because you're down by 14 points. They run into Denver again. That Denver defensive line is going to wreck their offensive line. The Colts get another shot at them. Maybe the Colts are at home. The Colts will probably beat them there. Baltimore is one of those where I don't know where we're going, but I don't have that. Yes, they saved their season, and yes, they may be able to beat the Dallas Cowboys on the road Thursday, but this isn't a team, Joe. I'm like, now I'm going to buy into them at this point. I'm just not doing it.
No. But again, we still have plenty of games to go, and one really great performance on both sides of the ball, Donnie, and the narrative will change. It's what have you done for me lately? So we'll see if they can get to that point.
Seahawks on the road pick up a victory, which we're going to get to in the next segment here, but also some teams that were supposed to get blown out this weekend played really tough down the stretch. Great teams, or good teams win, Joe. Great teams always cover those numbers, which a couple games we're going to take a look at. And also, J.J. McCarthy, he stinks. We're going to hit that game in the next segment as well. I don't know what's going on in Minnesota, but a fun day in the NFL, which we're going to continue to recap.
You need Justin Jefferson on that wall in the playoffs. Like, you got to go get him. He is still the man. I understand the JJ week last. Like, I get it. It was ugly. There were a lot of spots where, where's he throwing that ball to? What's he doing? You know, it'll be fine. Justin Jefferson's far too talented, and McCarthy will continue to figure it out. But it's the target volume you want. He gets double-digit targets every week. He is arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Oh boy, oh boy. This is not going to go away, folks. This betting scandal that involved Terry Rozier, that involved Jonte Porter last year, and then obviously with Chauncey Billups getting involved and stuff like that, this is not going away. This is not good. And this is not the end of this scandal.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Players behind the scenes have complained about Hurts's unwillingness to throw through tight windows against zone coverage. I told you Friday, Kevin, that Jalen Hurts takes the path of least resistance. He holds on to the ball. He doesn't like making those tighter throws. Though he loves making deeper throws, which it's interesting. Over 20 yards, he's one of the best in the National Football League.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Nashville, Tennessee. Yesterday, the Seattle Seahawks came to town as a heavy favorite against the Tennessee Titans. And they had a heavy lead against the Titans, but Titans made some plays late in that game, Joe, to make it 30-24 as a final, but the Seahawks got the win. That's what they wanted. Sam Darnold was good, 244 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That's the key, people. Threw a 4-pack last week, none this week. You love to see that. Cam Ward actually had one of his better games, I guess if you can call that, 256 in the air, 1 touchdown pass, a QBR rating of 75 in that game. But I got 3 words for you, Joe. Jackson Smith Njigba. The kid dominates. A $167 and 2 tutties for the talented young wide receiver.
Yeah, and listen, it's what we've come to know him to be, right? This season, absolutely electric. The guy can absolutely take over games. That's what a number 1 receiver can do, can absolutely blow up, especially bad teams like Tennessee. But it felt like that was one of those situations in that game, Donnie, where it was Seattle kind of was just happy to get a win and get out. They kind of took their foot off the gas there a little, a couple of empty net touchdowns. We had a 80-yard punt return touchdown for Tennessee. So, yeah, it may have seemed close, but it was never, ever in doubt there for Seattle.
By the way, I liked the Vikings as an underdog this week. That line didn't move off of 6.5. I said, you know what? The Vikings aren't that great on offense, neither the Green Bay Packers. Divisional game, they'll probably play it close. Minnesota was so bad on offense. And I start with J.J. McCarthy, and I know it's hard to sort of grade rookies, even though he's in his second year, really his first year of starting because he missed last year with that knee injury. But the one thing coming out of Michigan, I couldn't correlate was Michigan's biggest wins and Michigan's best games were, J.J., don't throw the football. And we are led to believe that, okay, he's just a great leader and he has a big arm. He'll be able to translate in the NFL. He stinks out loud. He was terrible yesterday. 87 yards passing, 2 interceptions, a QBR of 17.9. I know it's going to take some time and some learning, but sometimes you look at throwing the football and the mechanics. It just looks like he has a big wind up and loop, and it just doesn't work. And also don't understand this. They have 2 quality running backs. They have maybe the best wide receiver in football in Justin Jefferson, who we thought was a boy genius also that's calling plays here. Something isn't working in Minnesota, and it's completely on the quarterback's shoulders. Joe, last year, it didn't end all that well. But Sam Darnold had that offense cooking, and that was actually a good football team. All you did was remove the quarterback, and now you stink.
Yeah, they're not good. I mean, it didn't get much uglier than what we saw with him there in that spot in that game. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, usually Kevin O'Connell, right, is a very confident head coach. But my goodness, does he look he kind of throwing his hands up. Some of the expressions on the sideline with some of those throws yesterday, like he looks like this is not working out at all. I mean, 2 interceptions for a 3rd straight week, just buried the Vikings against what, I'm sorry, Donnie, I thought it was a very beatable Green Bay Packers team, but just never felt like this kid was in control of anything. And, I'll give him 1 more year. I think that's all you can do here with Kevin O'Connell, but it's not looking good.
No, it's certainly not. And also, it's just like, he threw for 89 yards, which is hard to do in the NFL. And also just taking sacks that you didn't need to take here. The defense can only do so much if the offense keeps on putting you in bad positions. And that was the Vikings have been doing basically for the entire season. Like McCarthy's given us like 1 good quarter of football like 2 months ago. And he's riding off of that. 4-7 now, the Minnesota Vikings dead and buried in the NFC. I'll tell you a team that was sleepwalking yesterday, Joe. That was the Baltimore Ravens. They did eventually win by double digits over the Jets, 23-10. Lamar Jackson, pedestrian yesterday, $153 in the air, no touchdowns or interceptions. Derrick Henry did score 2 touchdowns, only 3 yards per carry here. A big fumble by Breece Hall, changing that game, at least from the spread. You were okay if you looked at Tyrod Taylor, at least to have some semblance of a passing game. But that was an interesting one because you were looking at this game at the half going, wait a second, the Jets are up 7-3. What am I actually getting from the Baltimore Ravens right now?
Well, the other option, Donnie, could be that maybe this Ravens team just isn't that good. And that's right. Kind of the feeling that I got heading into this week. I had held my nose and took the 13.5 points with the Jets because really until we see it with Lamar and I, past the eye test, Donnie, heading into this week, what exactly seems to be all well with this offense of the Baltimore Ravens heading into this game? And who are they to be laying 2 touchdowns again? We're still living off, this is Lamar last year? Because this is not the same offense. And it showed again yesterday against the New York Jets, who a play here or there, and we're having a different discussion about that game.
By the way, the early line, we love to get some insight into the New York Jets. And here's Aaron Glenn talking about the Jets' future right now.
I think that's one of the reasons why our guys play so freaking hard is they see what we're building, they see what we're about, and they want to be a part of it. And that makes me excited for the players and excited for what we're trying to build. And it's not where we want to. I'm going to sit here and say that. We don't want to be 2-9, but I do understand this. There are some things that we're doing, some underlying things that we're doing, some foundational things that we're doing that I am excited about. And we just got to make sure now the record catches up with those things that we're building.
What the hell is he talking about, Joe?
You're 2-9, dude. I found little things, foundation, no, absolutely no. Here's the thing. What you just should have said is I'm proud of the guys for not mailing it in and booking cruises for the minute the season is over at this point. I'll give them that. I mean, they are absolutely playing tough. And poor Breece Hall, he doesn't fumble that ball on the 2-yard line, Donnie, in that game. I'm telling you, we're having a different conversation here today.
Yeah, it's the Jets playing hard is one thing, but I just don't need to hear from the coach what we're building here at 2-9. You're actually building a faulty foundation right now at 2-9. You know what I would like to say? You know what? We're battling at 500. We're fighting every week, and this is what it is. You guys stink right now. Just a minute. You stink. You're going to try again in the offseason and find a quarterback. I don't need to hear from Aaron Glenn every week, but we will because it's kind of fun to sort of talk about, what is he actually talking about? How about the Giants, the other New York team? Another double-digit blown lead for the Giants this season, and even had Malik Neighbors, who's on IR and not even at the football game, questioning what the heck is going on. Jameis Winston was 18 of 36. Well, that's only, 50%? 366 and 2 touchdowns. The man was going yard. Home run after home run, catching touchdowns and throwing them yesterday. And it still wasn't enough. Why? If you're a Giants fan, it does make sense. Go for it on 4th down. If you get it, you win the football game. You catch a touchdown, and you say, you know what, we're going for this. But also in the back of your head going, I want to put this team in an interesting situation because if we get this touchdown, yeah, we're going to win. But if we don't, there's a chance Detroit can actually come back in this game. You kick the field goal, you win. The Giants aren't necessarily looking for wins. They're 2-10 now looking for the draft. I don't mind it from a futuristic Giants perspective, but that's a terrible call by the coach. You kick that field goal, you win that football game, plain and simple. And they didn't, and they lost.
It's not about winning football games, but I'll tell you what it is, because Mike Kafka, the fact that he even has this team, how they were even in that game against Detroit, coming off a loss, and we know what Detroit loves to do. The fact that they led that game the entire way, what he got these guys to do, the maximum results of a bunch of replacement level guys that you are getting on a week-to-week basis. And again, they won the trenches, Donnie. They beat them. They won the trenches against Green Bay. They won them again against Detroit. So, I mean, maybe Dable really was the cancer in that locker room, because what Kafka's doing, if you would have just gotten out of the way, maybe, just maybe, the Giants season might have turned out a little differently.
Yeah, by the way, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9 catches for $149 and a touchdown. And Jahmyr Gibbs only got 15 carries. And I say only. 219 yards and 2 touchdowns, which included the 69-yarder in overtime here. By the way, I love, Joe, the new overtime rules in the NFL for the regular season. No more get the football, run the clock out, kick a field goal, and win it. You're giving up 69-yard touchdowns and be like, that's cool, because we're going to get the football and we see if we can score again. Overbackers rejoice in extras, Joe. My goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. I did have a team total on Detroit that I needed. I needed that touchdown by Gibbs in overtime because 30 wouldn't have cut it. A field goal would not have cut it. So kudos to him. But the most entertaining game of the day by far.
No, you're right about this, too. And when you take a look at it also, like I had over 3.5 touchdowns for Detroit. I needed that touchdown in extras to get that 4th touchdown. Love you, overtime. Love you, Detroit Lions. Good stuff here. Tom Vecchio's coming up next and more. Take a look at tonight's NFL football game. We'll be right back.
You need Justin Jefferson on that wall in the playoffs. Like, you got to go get him. He is still the man. I understand the JJ week last. Like, I get it. It was ugly. There were a lot of spots where, where's he throwing that ball to? What's he doing? You know, it'll be fine. Justin Jefferson's far too talented, and McCarthy will continue to figure it out. But it's the target volume you want. He gets double-digit targets every week. He is arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Oh boy, oh boy. This is not going to go away, folks. This betting scandal that involved Terry Rozier, that involved Jonte Porter last year, and then obviously with Chauncey Billups getting involved and stuff like that, this is not going away. This is not good. And this is not the end of this scandal.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Players behind the scenes will complain about Hurts's unwillingness to throw through tight windows against zone coverage. I told you Friday, Kevin, that Jalen Hurts takes the path of least resistance. He holds on to the ball. He doesn't like making those tighter throws. Though he loves making deeper throws, which it's interesting. Over 20 yards, he's one of the best in the National Football League.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The energy is high right here on a Monday edition of the Early Line. A little armchair quarterback action, what happened yesterday, and also looking for what's going to happen today, which you might be thinking out there, people. Oh, come on, man. Carolina, San Francisco, Monday night. Who picked that one a couple weeks ago? Who would think that both of these teams have major chips to play for? San Francisco looking to get into the playoffs. Carolina looking to win their division. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri. Now we're going to bring in Tom Vecchio to get his perspective on tonight's game and much more. Tom, how you feeling on this Monday?
I'm doing good. It was a great Sunday of NFL action. A lot of games going to overtime, a lot of close games, a few blowouts here and there, but I think we are in for a surprisingly exciting game tonight. And I'm of the belief that the Panthers are not as good as their record indicates, but I still think there's plenty of angles to attack tonight.
Yeah, we're getting set up on a couple things, I believe, in this game, because we'll get to some of these numbers and the props and the way it turns out. But it is interesting that Carolina, watching Tampa Bay sort of melt down now. Baker Mayfield, we don't know if he's going to be out long-term, short-term, playing next week, not playing next week. We don't know. But the one thing we do know is Carolina's playing much better football. San Francisco doesn't have a great defense. But, Tom, I'll start right here. I look at Bryce Young's numbers, and I got to keep taking another look at it. Low 200s for his passing prop. Correct me if I'm wrong. We were looking at a dude throwing for like 5 bills just a week ago, and San Francisco doesn't have a good defense. Are we being set up with these numbers here tonight from Carolina and San Francisco?
It certainly feels that way, where Bryce Young has not been good. The offense has been very slow and sluggish at times. Are you buying into him just getting there based on attrition? Are you buying into them being in a full passing game script? And it may not be an efficient way to get to 200, 225 yards, whatever, but he gets there because he needs to. That's what you have to determine. I'm not a big Bryce Young guy. I'm not betting on him, but I wouldn't fault someone for saying they're just going to have to pass the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting here because we're seeing we mentioned it earlier in the spread lines. 45.5 was the opening total in this game.
Yeah.
We're up to 50 now throughout the week. And I get it from the 49ers perspective. The question from the Carolina perspective is, are they going to add enough here to be able to fly over this 50 number? Or are we overestimating the kind of offense we're getting here?
I think it's a bit of an overestimation. And, to say that the 49ers would have to do 75% of the lifting in this, I think is fair, where the Panthers, if the Panthers get to 17, I think is reasonable, maybe 20. The 49ers can win this game 30-20, and we're right at the number. Ultimately, I want to start off with a first half under. And, don't play a lot of these. You often don't get favorable lines. But I saw 25.5 out there on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Normally, the lines are 23.5, 24.5. A 25.5 first half total is way too high. Second halves are different. That's when teams are going for 2. But 3 touchdowns and a field goal gets us to 24 points. So we need 4 touchdowns essentially in order to get over 25.5 or 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, whatever it might be. So first half under 25.5 is the way to go. I don't see the Panthers come out firing. The games that they win are ugly and they're close late and they come away with a late score. They're not getting out and flying and up 20-0.
You look at San Francisco last week. Brock Purdy comes back very efficient, Tom. 19 of 26, 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions. McCaffrey only got the ball 13 times out of the backfield, but 81 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. But you also have to look at the opposite side. Like Arizona doesn't have a great defense, but Jacoby Brissett, 47 of 57 in that game for 452. Now, it was a blowout, and they're tacking on a lot of yards late. We understand that. But is the way to attack tonight the Carolina Panthers airing it out? Because Tet does have a low number on the outside as well. Or, Tom, what wide receivers are you looking at in this game between San Francisco and Carolina?
I think Tet McMillan is a great way to go about this. At the end of the day, they don't have a whole lot of options. Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, these are good players. They shouldn't be having more than 6 targets on a game-by-game basis. Tet McMillan should be having 8, 9, 10 on a game-in-game-out basis. But I want to turn to the San Francisco side of things, go to Ricky Pearsall, over 19.5 for his longest reception. He came back last week, only played on 75% of snaps, only had the 1 catch, not a big deal. But when we look back to when he was healthy this year and last year, he is their deep ball guy. This year, he is a 15.2 ADOT, average depth of target. He is the guy that they send down the field. And it makes a lot of sense because Kittle and McCaffrey are operating underneath, and it leaves a lot of room for Ricky Pearsall downfield. So last year, he's regularly breaking off receptions 20, 30, 40 yards. And we saw this earlier in the year. The first week to start against the Seahawks, he's getting 45, 30-yard receptions, whatever it might be. I think they have to get him back involved in the offense. Last week was just a matter of the game script getting out of control, and he didn't have to do a whole lot. But I see him getting involved early and often this week.
Yeah, he'll have a favorable match because that secondary, too, is giving up all sorts of yardage to slot guys, and Pearsall should have a field day. But so should McCaffrey, too. It looks like we got backup linebackers now for the Panthers. Roseboom is out, which means who's covering McCaffrey out of the backfield to catch passes exactly here, Becky? It feels like his receiving prop is something we should be looking at.
Right. We've talked about the Panthers before where there were some metrics to back up their run defense being, somewhat good at times, maybe a sneaky good. This is also a revenge game for McCaffrey if you want to factor that in. So the receiving area for McCaffrey is far more interesting to me rather than his rush, just straight up rushing. You could go rushing, receiving combined. Obviously, we're never getting a discount on that, but McCaffrey's touchdown number is never going to be favorable for us as well. He gets in the end zone. I don't want to bet on it, but the receiving for McCaffrey, that alone is the best way to go about betting him.
What are your thoughts here moving forward on the 49ers, Tom? Because you see they picked up that victory against the lowly Cardinals last week. They have the Panthers tonight to pick up that win, back-to-back games then with the Browns and the Titans before they take on the Colts. This is a team with 7 wins, which could very easily be a double-digit win team, and so many injuries and a bad defense. But we knew coming into the season, Tom, one of the softer schedules was the 49ers, and they're taking advantage of it now.
Yeah, I talked about this with Brady last night. If you look at the NFC odds overall, it's easy to say that we can throw the Rams up there. We can throw the Eagles, the Lions. I have interest in putting the 49ers essentially 4th on that list. I'm not sold on Green Bay. They have great defense. Their offense is absolutely terrible. I'm not sold on the Bucs, obviously. So if there's a time, it's now to buy in on the 49ers before they go on another, rattle off another 3 wins. And granted, these may not be the most impressive wins that they pick up, and the schedule is very soft, but they are in a spot to be a wild card team. I don't think they'll win the division. And the NFC West this year is this year's NFC North, where 3 teams are going to make the playoffs. And the 49ers are a team that have the coaching, they have the offense, the defense is the issue for them. But you give a long number, 30-1 to win the Super Bowl or whatever it is for the NFC Championship. That's the most interesting before they go on the streak.
Interesting times ahead for the Niners. They'll play tonight. Also interesting for the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll play on Thursday. It's Tom Vecchio joining us, Rising and Grinding. Thanks for joining us, Tom, with that energy we need on Thanksgiving Feast Week. For Donnie and Joe, we'll be right back. It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Oh, tonight, Monday Night Football. Just had Tom Vecchio on talking about this game, but let's get into some of the numbers here, talking about the game script and also the side and the total. If we take a look at the way this line opened up, Joe, 7 points was a touchdown favorite for San Francisco. That number's not there anymore. It's 7.5 across the board. A total, which was around that 46.5 range, now up to 49.5. Both of these defenses certainly are vulnerable. The question's going to be is, are we getting a better version out of the San Francisco 49ers now that we've inserted Brock Purdy back for another week and the team getting healthier on offense? They should be able to move the football. But, Joe, is it enough for the 49ers to cover a 7.5-point number?
No, I think it is. I think the 49ers win this game by double digits. It's just, it's too much offense now. I think they're a little bit underrated. But what Purdy now having Kittle, Pearsall, McCaffrey back, this is a potent offense, not to mention that they've gone up tempo this year with Shanahan, and they are a matchup nightmare, especially for a defense that is a little banged up here and wasn't very good to begin with Carolina. Not to mention prime time, extra time to prepare. It's advantage absolutely here with the 49ers. And I think it's just too much offense. And I think what happens then is Carolina has to become a little one-dimensional in the second half, Donnie, and then they become a little more predictable. And I expect that the 49ers will put up points and likely win by double digits.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the offense line for the 49ers. That's really an attack point. But also, you do need a running mate, as we always like to say, again, where it's like, okay, if you want the total, one team you hope doesn't score 42 points, the other team gets, 10 points. You want that thing to be like, okay, everybody still wants to score points in the fourth quarter. But I find myself looking at this number for Bryce Young and saying 204.5. Seems like such a low price point for him. Touchdown passes over 1.5 plus 124. I think Brock Purdy gets his, but is Bryce Young against this defense really going to throw for like $175? But also, if we think the 49ers are going to win this football game, Bryce is going to be throwing the football religiously in the second half here, or am I wrong?
No, I think you're spot on here. Listen, the Panthers' offensive line has been like musical chairs all season, Donnie. The one thing that they have not done well all year long is deal with the blitz. But the good news is the 49ers don't blitz. They can't blitz. 77-78%, I believe, standard rush rate. They're only bringing 4 guys. Why? Yeah. Because all their injuries, they can't afford to leave guys in the secondary shorthanded. So they don't blitz at all, which means the Panthers, even with a makeshift offensive line, should be able to handle the pass rush. And, of course, they should have some success throwing the ball.
Yeah, take a look at the receiving props. George Kittle, 56.5. He's listed at. Ted McMillan, 65.5. McCaffrey, 43.5, and so on and so forth down the list. Ricky Pearsall, who Tom Vecchio likes in this game for the longest catch, he's listed at 40.5 yards. But the rushing props probably going to be the key to the game. Christian McCaffrey, we know he's going to get that ball 15-plus times in the backfield. 71.5 is his price point. Rico Dowdle, he's probably the key to the game, Joe. And I don't mean that Carolina has to hand the football 40 times to win this game. But if you can keep that defense honest, which isn't very good, that opens up that play-action pass. So Rico Dowdle, to me, 74.5. If he can get that number, Carolina's right in this football game.
Yeah, and he better get it early because the further they trail in the game, the less running they're going to be doing here. So, yes, they need to control clock and tempo early. But, the 49ers, they've kicked it into another gear. Mac Jones, and even here with Purdy, Shanahan's running one of the fastest-paced offenses here in the league this year. Hurry up, get to the line of scrimmage, let's go. It's putting defenses on their heels rather quickly.
By the way, it feels like we never get true odds at times here. And also, we understand when the books have to post a line, they don't want you betting in here. Look at the anytime touchdown props in this game. Christian McCaffrey, minus 360 to 370 where you're shopping at right now. If you want to put that price point up there, Joe, give me the no option then. How about that?
Well, listen, and the way Kittle has been playing, I'll take Kittle at plus money, any plus money. You can have McCaffrey. I'll take Kittle in the red zone because he has been an absolute machine. And once again, backup line, but I don't know who's covering him on that defense for Carolina. So at plus money, I'll take George Kittle.
Yeah, you look at this going through and you say to yourself, which way would you want to go? Do you think McCaffrey scores a touchdown? Of course we do. But a 360 price point is, hey, you know what? Things we've seen crazier happen where you might get a vulture touchdown coming in from Brian Robinson Jr. But you do think that we're getting 2 touchdown passes from the San Francisco 49ers and Brock Purdy, Juwan Jennings plus 175, Ricky Pearsall plus 200, and he said George Kittle at a plus 120 price. Those are probably the options that I'm looking forward to tonight. But Joe, if I ask you this, are we going over this total tonight?
Oh, yes. I think we're flying over the total here tonight.
There we go. Yeah. Good weather conditions again out there in San Francisco. Let's see what happens, because why? Hour number 2 is coming up next. We're only getting started. Come on back with us.